All right, it's time to get into the papers this morning. Let's see what the headlines are saying across Nigeria. And I have from the University of Lagos, Dr. Daniel Kere. He's one of our regular analysts of the papers in the house. Good morning. It's good to see you, Dr. Kere.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's begin with the Punch newspaper now. On the elections, PDP rejects redeployment of 37 CP, says it's politically tainted. And Tinubu's ex-CSO, the Chief Security Officer, Egbetokun, now Kwara CP. Now, the news got in yesterday that commissioners of police across the country have been redeployed, including Abuja.
Yeah, well, I think it is within the rights of the Nigerian police to deploy whoever they need to deploy. And I think that comes from the Police Service Commission.
Exactly.
If that is the body that has done this, then obviously it's within their rights. Now, but yeah, the PDP has a right to, to raise
become suspicious.
Yes, because of the time. But don't equally forget that it could as well be as a result of the election that they are doing this. In order perhaps to forestall any form of, okay, I've been so used to this CP and all manner of manipulations. The most important thing is that whoever is in charge must ensure that the right things are done, irrespective of, who you are and what have you. Because whoever emerges will be the president of Nigeria. So
exactly.
If, yes,
not the president
of the police or one party.
Beautiful.
So you must play in such a manner that when, for instance, the one that ordinarily you would not have preferred to be emerges, you will have challenges with your job. So the police must live above board.
All right. Now, okay, let's move on from there. Ikoyi Cash, we can't find ex-NIA DG wife, says EFCC. Okay. That calls for concern. BRT bus crushes teenager to death in Lagos. It's a sad situation there. I'll provide security to make sure elections are free, Buhari is saying that. Well, he has been reiterating the fact that the elections 2019 will be free and fair, and he has stood by his words.
Well, let's hope that that is actually taken seriously. But I have my little worries that the election might be under-policed.
Why do you think so?
Looking at the number of policemen that were deployed to those states where elections took place, a place like Ekiti and Osun, and they felt comfortable with that number, it means that that is the adequate number that should take care of a state. And it's not likely that we will have that number in all the states this time around. So if that number can be justified as the right number of police that should police elections, you should replicate the same in all the other places. But I doubt if we have that number. So which means that we are going to under-police elections, except somebody want to admit that there was a deliberate...
Not forgetting the fact that besides the police, we still have the civil defense, the NSCDC.
Yes, they were all part of it.
We also have the DSS who all on the ground.
At least you saw the massive numbers that were deployed to these various states that had elections, but at special periods. So if that is a number that should police election in such states, then I expect that should be the same for everyone.
Well, one way or the other, Nigerians are feeling that, well, we're moving to that level where we don't need heavy security to conduct elections anymore.
And that level will be when you'll be able to vote from anywhere. Yes, there will be no issue of, okay, I register as also play, there will be no move. In so many other places, you vote like a normal market day.
Yeah, but
this idea of shutting down a whole country because of elections, we'll cross that level.
We'll get there gradually, but the issue of ballot box snatching and all of that has gradually been a thing of the past now. We don't have that anymore. So it seems like we're getting it right gradually, isn't it?
Yeah, but we have another version of it. You can decide not to snatch ballot box and still worsen the situation. Vote buying is one of it, and all the other vices that we saw associated with elections the last few months, in the last elections.
Okay. Papa Gridlock, federal government reopens Levante's bridge, and polls Rufai slammed for issuing death threat to foreigners. Customs intercept police uniforms, tear gas in Lagos, and LSE wants minimum wage excluded from income tax. Okay, let's move to the Nation newspaper now. That's the next one. Buhari to PDP and EU. Rufai spoke in national interest and has multiple rights. The governor, we're waiting for those seeking intervention, and PDP threatens to dump peace deal, and EU won't quit. Now, it was reported a few days ago that the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, had, at the course of his interview on TV, made a statement that a lot of Nigerians, didn't feel comfortable with, especially when he said that those who are threatening or those who engage in undermining the election in Nigeria will go home in body bags.
But the languages are those who have any intention to undermine.
Interfere in the election.
No, there will always be interference. It depends on what that interference is. You know, when you talk about monitoring or observing elections, that's a form of interference, except that they will not truncate or in any way, you know, hinder the system from flowing. But at least it's not their country that is doing this, where you find foreign observers coming in. So that's a form of interference. But that interference is acceptable world over. So if that is what he is contesting, then obviously...
I guess it's obvious he's talking about any negative interference. Anything that would unduly...
And indeed, any negative interference will not be acceptable. Negative interference should not be accepted. So, but I expect that at least the bodies that we're talking about, the EUs and the rest of them, these are bodies that have been tested and trusted over the years with respect to, you know, election observing and all the rest. It has never been reported that in any way they have interfered in a manner that, you know, marred the elections of those countries. Rather, they ensure that there's transparency and everything.
Well, what Nigerians are uncomfortable with is the language. When you say when you say they'll go home in body bags and will kill anyone who, you know, it seemed too strong.
Yes, I think that was a foul language, really, because I don't expect that. I don't know what he has to maybe bring that to pass. Whether I doubt if that is the position of the president. So perhaps he's speaking for Kaduna State. I don't know.
It's okay. Let's move on now. ACF support for Atiku won't change polls outcome. And Air Force acquires 22 aircraft to battle insurgency. That would be seen as a welcome development.
Yeah. So what is happening to the Tucano aircraft?
They're still manufacturing them.
It's okay. We are waiting.
EFCC can serve as NIA chief. And $4 billion FDI coming into Africa. Lagos restricts movement. Boro fans blast coach over Mikel. That's in sports. Ajimobi conveys accident victim to UCH that happened around Ibadan. President says no going back on anti-graft battle. All right, that's the Nation newspaper. Let's move on now. The Daily Sun is our next paper now. U.S. dispatches Clinton to meet Buhari Atiku, ex-president on mission to get candidates' commitment to peace.
Yeah, I think that is really important. In the last election, a similar deal was, ensured. Yes. And we saw how...
The Secretary of State,
yes,
John Kerry, at that time.
And again, then they won in Nigeria led by General Abdul Salami and all those peace accords and all beautiful. All of that, you know, took place in the last election. And interestingly too, the president, or the former president, did what was noble, you know, by, you know, accepting defeat. And I think that is what the spirit of democracy should be. Whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses. And you sure it is when you say no to what is that you begin to have all manner of confrontation. So I think we should...
All right. Well, however, former President Bill Clinton coming to Nigeria also portrays how important the election of Nigeria is on the African continent, to the U.S., to the EU, to the world,
entire
to the
world,
United Nations.
The entire world. Should anything go wrong in Nigeria,
the whole of Africa.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the consequence will be too
All right, WK to UK envoy, watch Nigeria's polls closely. Okay. It's a strong advice.
Yes.
But El Rufai adamant on warning to foreigners. Kaduna governor defending Nigerian sovereignty. Aid is saying that an outrage greets alleged threat to international community.
It is not the responsibility of El Rufai to defend what he is defending. There are agencies responsible for that. There are bodies for that. He should take care of Kaduna State.
Okay. Leadership crisis rocks Yoruba Council of Elders. Okay. Agbaje promises to devote 50% of Lagos budget to education. That's part of the headline. Their campaign still going on. 2019 elections, customs intercepts bail of police uniforms, tear gas canisters. All right. This is quite troubling if you have to...
Yes. Have they confirmed that it is not for the Nigerian police?
Well, the point there is, if it is for Nigeria, because we have said this so many times, if there's going to be an importation of either equipment or military or any headgear or anything for security, there are papers for it. There are procedures for it, and the government agencies know when they're coming in. So when they're intercepting this, it means something is wrong.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that tells you what may likely happen in the 2019 elections. You will find police who are not police, you know, people wearing uniform when indeed they are not, you know, members of the Nigeria Police Force. You will find some who will wear even military uniform. And all manner of arms, perhaps, will be brandished. At the end of the day, you will create a scenario in which a lot of people who ordinarily would have, you know, come out to vote, perhaps out of fear or whatever, might decide
will become apathetical.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with the bold picture of President Buhari there with the governor of Benue and governor of Plateau State, as he was in Makurdi yesterday for his tour of campaigns. Vanguard is our next paper now. On polls, EU tackles El-Rufai over body bag, threat to observers. Okay. And responses from here and there. Apapa Oshodi traffic crisis, task force members go berserk when it comes to that Apapa gridlock.
Honestly.
In fact, we'll be talking about it today.
We shouldn't even be saying Apapa gridlock, Lagos gridlock, because it didn't have extended from Apapa down to Ikorodu Road here. So when you talk about Apapa as if it's only...
As if it's restricted to only Apapa.
Then it will be a misrepresentation of the fact. It has become Lagos gridlock. And I think the time has come for this to be addressed. And one very sure and simple way of doing this is to open up the ports. The various ports in Nigeria. There are so many of them. I don't know why, you know, consignment that are going to the east
or going to the north
or to the north cannot berth in all those places where there are ports. Calabar has a port. In Delta, I know there used to be a port in Warri. There used to be a port in, what do you call it? You know, before Warri. And so many of them.
There can be ports in Rivers, there can be ports in Bayelsa.
So many. River, so why not open and utilize them? And in any case, Onitsha there, when you talk about Onitsha, you'll be talking about across the Niger. What does the Niger represent? It is a river that ordinarily this thing should as well. It's a question of just dredging this in and ensure that goods that are going there, you know, are taken straight instead of coming to create chaotic scenarios.
Because there were,
but again, could it be that this is a deliberate design for all resources to be, so if not, but if I were
governor,
to
be, past governor and present governor of Lagos State have always advocated that something should be done about other ports so that everything doesn't converge.
Honestly,
because at the end of the day, Lagos will still remain Lagos.
Whether
the ports are taken away, Lagos will still remain Lagos.
Situation. I don't think this
so that for Lagos. Lagosians are not enjoying the beauty of Lagos with all of this congestion one way or the other. Lagos governorship poll, I'll spend 50% annual budget on education. Well, one of the candidates is saying that there. All right, that's the Vanguard newspaper. This day is the last newspaper for the day. Massive shakeup in police. IG redeploys over 50 officers. Tinubu's ex-CSO moves to Kwara as CP. PDP protest says APC wants to oust Saraki at all cost. Okay.
You know, because maybe Asiwaju's CSO is deployed to
Kwara State.
I don't know how he alone can just, you know, take over Kwara in that manner. By deploying, it's not going to change the mind of those who will vote if it's about voting. Except we are saying that over time there has been some practices, you know, that have been making certain, you know, positions to emerge. But if it is about voting, I do not see how Lagos
free and fair elections, which the president has promised,
determine who I vote for. So such fears, I don't think they are called for. But in any case, the police must equally be very careful.
And live above board.
Yeah, they must live above board. They should not create a scenario in which there will be suspicion.
That they are in favor
like
of
they have always done in the past.
All
that you find during elections, some of them are associated with all manner of, you know, misdemeanors. You know, with respect to elections. We have seen them on tape and the rest of them. And these ordinarily are the people that you should look onto when you have a situation that is unbecoming. So my major plea to the police is that they should do this job professionally. Their allegiance should not be to any particular person. It's about Nigeria. It's about every citizen. So they must do it in a manner that will represent the interests of Nigeria and portray Nigeria in a light that will be, to attract some level of respect.
Okay. Buhari promises to reinvest recovered loots in infrastructure. Okay. At least we've seen part of the Abacha loot go to redistribution or the poorest of the poor, like they say.
No, that language is a misrepresentation of fact. Who is the poorest of the poor? That's campaign. They are using it for campaign.
That's your opinion, I guess.
Yes, it's my opinion. And I'm saying it because, how many of them, are there no poor people in my community? Did anybody benefit?
Well, it could be taking new faces. From,
why did the face not start from my own? Okay. You see, so... Yes, because much of the money came from my place. My communities are not producing one. Those places you are sharing the money, how much did they contribute to the national treasury?
Yeah, but the point
because
is,
the money that was stolen was from the national treasury, and I'm saying that much of it came from my place. How many of my people benefited?
No,
so when you are talking about poorest of the poor, in every way, even the country, by virtue of what they are making, have even created a scenario in my area that people who ordinarily even have strength to work cannot work and get what they should get in terms of environmental degradation. And you are not sharing that money to a set of persons that you feel you can look out for in terms of election.
Yeah, but
why not use it the way it should be used for everybody to benefit?
It was based on, from the report we got, it was based totally on the agreement they had at the time the monies were being repatriated back to Nigeria.
I have no problem with that. The agreement is for the poorest of the poor.
And when it comes to...
How did you come about those poorest of the poor from those places you shared this money?
They had to use data from the World Bank. That's what they said. That's what they said.
The World Bank was in my community to find out who is poor and who is not. Let's leave what this is.
That's okay. Assets in CBN's National Collateral Registry hits 1.5 trillion naira, and NDLEA impounded drugs at Murtala Mohammed International Airport increased by 400%. That's what they said.
The World Bank was in my community to find out who is poor and who is not. Let's leave what this is.
That's okay. Assets in CBN's National Collateral Registry hits 1.5 trillion naira, and NDLEA impounded drugs at Murtala Mohammed International Airport increased by 400%. That's mind-boggling. APC has no candidate in Rivers State, INEC insists. All right, the controversy lingers. Well, this is all right now. Dr. Dane Kere of the University of Lagos, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
All right. Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at issues that concern humanitarian activities. How comfortable are IDPs, and what is going on from revelations we're getting in the northeast of Nigeria? Stay with us on the program.